Okay, I'm going to cheat, so I got two short videos. One was a talk I gave at the parish where you get 20 seconds for each image. There's 20 images, 20 seconds. But there's voice, so I don't have to do anything. And then there's a short, very short, 4-minute documentary that a friend of mine made about my work and me. And there's some duplicity, so I apologize for that. But, maybe you like seeing it again. All right, so watch.
Please welcome Randall Rosenthal.
Hi, I'm quite honored to be here. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to attempt to, as small a slice of it is, show you 65 years of me making art. At the age of 4, I was given a toy hook and ladder fire truck, so I turned the refrigerator into a burning building. Crayons, windows, flames. So my mom bought oil paint and canvas board. I painted this at the age of 5. Water, the theme for my art and my life. We're going to skip away, college and all that. Painted in the early 70s. My earliest influence was Jackson Pollock. I love the color field idea, but I wanted to do it using realism. So kind of like surrealism, I don't know. For years I painted various things falling out of the sky. This is an early 70s surf magazine illustration about pro surfing. My first depiction of money. The merry-go-round eventually comes and stops there again. Like out in the gallery. For most of the 80s, I did square paintings of water. But one I didn't do was on the cover of Art News. Suddenly out of business, I became an architectural designer for Norman Jaffe. Norman created my career as a sculptor. Nobody gets anywhere by themselves. After working on the design of the Jewish Center in East Hampton, Norman came up with the idea that I should carve some waves in an oceanfront house, and a new career was created for me by him. This is the first sculpture I ever did in my life. It's 22 feet long, and like all my sculptures, carved out of one piece of wood. I spent most of the 90s doing architectural sculpture commissions. The AMBO, a lectern in a church in Seattle, had a carved book for a book rest. I also did some abstract, like the upper left, and the other is the arc doors. So I started carving books. This is Sweet Memories, childhood heroes from the 50s. I played a lot of ball in my life too. This piece spent a year in the Museum of Sport and Art in Indianapolis. And like all my work, this is the beginning of the next thing, which is this, well, it's self-explanatory.
I really like to carve things.
Yeah,
I like to carve wood, I like to carve snow, and I like to carve water. I was born on a small island in the North Atlantic, Manhattan, and lived in Forest Hills, Queens till I was 3, till my parents bought a suburban house. At the age of 4, my father came home with an amazing metal hook and ladder fire truck that was bigger than I was. So given this toy to play with, I turned the white rectangular refrigerator into a burning building with crayons. Made windows all over it with flames coming out.
I had nothing to do with this, by the way.
So my mom was very good-natured about it, had that all cleaned up, took a corner of my bedroom and said, okay, this is your studio. Go to it. At the age of 12, I worked at a beach club in Atlantic Beach. I was a chair boy. One of the other guys had an old beat-up surfboard. So one day I said, can I try that? So I paddled out and got in the white water, got the thing moving, stood up, I went, oh, okay, I'm surfing. In the early 70s, I got really into motorcycles. And I was riding a motorcycle around California, and a little light bulb came on in my mind that said, you might want to live to be 30. So I got rid of motorcycles, and I was looking for something else, and I'm living in Santa Barbara. So I started surfing for real. I worked as an architectural designer with Norman Jaffe, who is a genius architect. And one day Norman said to me, I have this great idea. I want you to carve a 22-foot long wave in an oceanfront house in Southampton. So I had no idea how to do it. So I consulted with a friend of mine who is a wood sculptor and borrowed some tools and did it. And it came out okay. Norman was very pleased and got me another commission. And this went on for a while until I won a architectural search award to do an ambo, which is a lectern, in a beautiful church in Seattle, Washington. And as part of this ambo, I had to carve a Bible rest that could move, and so I carved a book. Everything I've done since then stems from that. Paper objects carved out of wood, painted life-size. And I've just expanded on that ever since, trying to find more and more meaningful, involved, difficult objects to portray. There's something about getting into a certain zone and having an edge go through a medium that's, I find, incredibly satisfying. Whether it's carving through powder on a snowboard, making a hard bottom turn on a sizable wave on a surfboard, or a day when you're really sharp tools going through the wood perfectly and it's almost effortless. It's all really almost the same thing.
I'm sorry that the other one didn't go to the end because there was some work in there that I think was worth seeing, but what are you gonna do?
Do you ever make a mistake?
I make lots of mistakes. I have a wood stove. I've worked on things for more than a month and just decided, nah, and thrown it in the wood stove. It's just as part of the deal. Not often, but it happens. I'm real good at, I don't make drawings. I like to just kind of ponder the block of wood, and I draw on the wood, but I don't draw the whole sculpture on the wood. I just kind of draw the first step, and I carve that, starting from the top and start like kind of working my way down, especially with things like boxes of money or boxes of anything. I just keep making it up as I go along. It's kind of like, it sounds hokey as hell, but the truth is, like, and Scott will understand this, surfing, you kind of see the future. That's how you do it. You figure out what's going to happen, a millisecond before it happens, so that you're in the right place at the right time when it happens. Well, in the sculpture, everything's a lot slower, but it's the same thing. It's just I try to visualize where it's going next, and I just kind of keep doing that until I get where I'm trying to go. But I take my time and just pick away at it, trying not to go too fast, because the art is two extremely different disciplines united together. The carving, you're taking away material, and when it's gone, it's gone. There's no going back. So there's a certain deliberateness to it. Sometimes it can be very free and quick. It just depends. The painting, you can just keep painting till you like it. You know, you can just it's endless.
It's watercolor.
What techniques do you employ to actually paint the currency?
Okay, I changed very radically from where I started. In the beginning, I used to paint all the money, the background. Let's just say, I've done foreign currency quite a bit, but with American currency, the background has a certain color. So I would paint all the money the right background color. And then I would use pens and acrylic paint to paint the images on. And I was pretty good at nailing it quick. Then I blew my hand and wrist apart, and my thumb doesn't bend. And I'd say I have about 60% use of my hand previous to this accident. So I couldn't physically do what I did before. So now I mix a lot of the background color, and each bill becomes like a little painting. I go back, my hand's not as steady. I'm just physically incapable of doing what I could do before. But ironically, the work's better. It just takes 10 times longer.
So, Randall, I'm a little unclear. Do you have a model? Do you have a pile of money
No,
sitting there? No,
absolutely
you totally
not.
make it up.
Make it up. Not only do I make it up, I make it up as I go along.
Has the federal government ever contacted you?
The only time I ever had an issue was I did Archie comics. This in no way shows the scope of my work. I've done lots of magazines, newspapers, paper objects. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of paper objects. And for a while I was into doing comic books. So I did Archie comics, and I did what I always did. I Googled it, and I started looking at hundreds and hundreds of Archie comic book covers. And I found one about surfing. So I went, all right, that's obvious. So I did a pile of Archie comic books with this. I changed it somewhat. For one thing, I gave them more modern swimming attire. All the guys on the cover were wearing Speedos, So the guy, long story short, the guy who did the original drawing saw the sculpture in a gallery. And one day the phone rings and his name's on the caller ID. And I went, well, this could go one of two ways. But it turned out he loved it, and he sent me the original drawing, and we became good friends. The people who own Archie Comics, however, they weren't so thrilled.
Did you have a piece in the box art show? Was that Yellow Pad? Yours?
I have it
This
many
past-
times, yeah. Yeah, I did a yellow pad with a
A quote from
little
Dragons.
drawing of a cigar box on
Yeah,
it.
oh my God, that was really
Thank you.
beautiful, yeah.
Are these commissions, all these things you're doing?
No, I do a lot of commissions. I actually brought show and tell. Oh, it's a bar of surf wax. It's a commission. I just brought it because it's indestructible. You can put it in your pocket. But,